The night was silent, cold, and dark when the sky suddenly lit up with a burning streak of fire. Evan, a simple human mechanic who lived alone near the old forest, stepped outside his small workshop and stared in shock. Something was falling from the sky fast. A loud explosion shook the ground as the object crashed deep inside the trees. Evan's heart raced. He knew he should stay inside. Strange ships sometimes passed over this area, and people who went to investigate were never seen again. But he also knew someone might be hurt. And Evan was not the kind of man who could sit and do nothing. He grabbed his flashlight and ran toward the forest. The smell of smoke grew stronger. Branches cracked under his boots. Sparks floated in the air like fireflies. When he reached the crash site, he froze. A small alien dropship lay smashed between the trees, metal bent and smoking. One of the engines still glowed with dying blue light. Evan took a careful step forward. Then he heard a weak groan. His chest tightened. Someone was alive inside. He climbed onto the wreckage, kicking away loose metal. "Hello, can you hear me?" He called. Another groan answered him, deeper this time, filled with pain. Evan looked inside the ship. His flashlight beam landed on a figure, a tall, strong alien woman lying between torn wires. Her armor was cracked, glowing with strange energy. Her purple skin shimmered under the dim light. She was a mercenary. Evan knew the signs: heavy armor, sharp claws, glowing marks of rank. Mercenaries did not trust humans. Mercenaries killed without asking questions. But this one was barely breathing. He leaned closer to check her pulse. Suddenly her eyes shot open bright silver, like moonlight. She raised a small energy blade to his throat. Evan froze. His breath stopped, but then her arm dropped. The blade slipped from her hand. She collapsed. Evan caught her before she hit the metal floor. Hey, stay with me," he whispered. Her armor was sparking dangerously. If it exploded, they would both die. Evan acted fast. He lifted her over his shoulder. She was heavy, but he managed. He climbed out of the wreck and carried her quickly toward his workshop. Branches cut his arms. His back burned with effort. But he didn't stop. When he reached the workshop, he laid her on a table and checked her armor more closely. A large piece had fused to her skin. Removing it would cause terrible pain. Leaving it on could kill her. He took a deep breath and grabbed his tools. Suddenly the alien woman woke with a sharp gasp. She sat up quickly, almost knocking him over. Where am I?" she growled. Her voice was strong, but her body shook. "You crashed," Evan said gently. "I brought you to my workshop. You were hurt." Her silver eyes narrowed. "Human, why would you help me?" "You were dying," he said simply. She stared at him for a long moment. Then she looked down at her armor. Her face turned red, a blushing purple color. Some parts of her armor were cracked open. She pulled one broken piece, and it almost tore her skin. She stopped, biting her lip. Evan stepped forward. "Wait, don't move. Let me help." Her eyes widened in panic. She covered her chest plate with both arms. "No, human. No peeking." Evan stepped back, hands up. "I'm not trying to look. I just don't want you bleeding to death." She looked away, embarrassed. "My armor. It is designed to never be removed by outsiders. It holds secrets. And shame." "What kind of secrets?" Evan asked softly. Her voice shook. "If you see the marks under my armor, you will fear me." Before he could ask more, loud sounds came from outside. Engines, boots, voices. Soldiers. They were searching the forest. The alien woman's eyes widened with terror. "No, they are hunting me. If they find me in this weak state, I am dead." Evan locked the workshop door quickly. She grabbed his hand, surprising him with her strength. "Human, listen. I must remove this armor. The mark under it is waking. And if it wakes fully, I will lose control. Lose control? Evan whispered. She nodded, trembling. If I transform, you will not survive. The soldiers' voices grew louder. Evan swallowed hard. Then tell me what to do. The mercenary blushed deeply, her cheeks burning purple. With shaking hands, she lifted the first broken plate of armor. Human. Turn around, she whispered. Please. No peeking. Evan turned away as she removed the armor piece by piece. Her breath came fast. The strange glowing mark on her skin brightened. The door rattled. The soldiers were here, and the mercenary was not ready. Evan kept his back turned, staring at the wall while the alien mercenary behind him struggled to remove her broken armor. He could hear her soft breaths, shaky and uneven. Metal pieces hit the floor one by one. Each sound carried pain. And something else. Embarrassment. Fear. For someone strong enough to crush steel with her hands. She sounded strangely fragile now. Human. She whispered, voice trembling. I am almost done. Do not turn around yet. I am not ready. Evan nodded even though she couldn't see him. Take your time. I won't look. Her breath hitched, almost like she was surprised he was being gentle. Outside, flashlights moved through the trees. The soldiers were searching carefully now. Their voices grew closer. We found energy traces, one shouted. She came this way. Ree-Lin froze. Evan could feel the fear in the air. Not fear of dying, fear of being seen in this weak, exposed state. She pulled off another armor plate, and a sharp gasp escaped her lips. Ah! Evan spun halfway before stopping himself. Are you okay? Why, yes. She choked out quickly. Do not turn. The armor was bonded to my skin. It tore a little. He clenched his fists. Let me help you. No. She almost shouted. Then softer, you must not see my mark. Not yet. Evan didn't understand. Why? What's so dangerous about it? There was a long silence. Only her breathing broke the quiet. Then she spoke in a soft, defeated voice. Because my mark is not only a symbol. It is a curse. Evan swallowed. A curse? It was forced on me, she said. A war beast seal. When it reacts, I lose control. I become a danger to everyone, even myself. Evan heard her body shift as she removed another piece. He heard her trembling. He heard her shame. And if you see the full mark, she whispered, you will think I am a monster. He shook his head slowly. I don't scare easy. You should, she answered. A crack echoed outside. Someone stepping on a branch. Evan peeked through a small gap in the window. Soldiers in dark gear were scanning with energy detectors. They were close. Dangerously close. One wrong sound and they would surround the workshop. He turned back to her. They're almost here. You need to get ready. I know, she said. That is why the armor must come off. It keeps the mark awake. I must calm it before they find us. A final loud clank echoed as she dropped the last major piece of armor. She let out a slow, shaking breath. Human. She whispered, embarrassed. I am not wearing much now. My people do not expose themselves like this. I feel ashamed. Evan kept looking at the wall. You don't need to be ashamed around me. Her breath caught. You speak like it is easy. He shrugged. You saved my life earlier. You didn't kill me when you woke up. That tells me you're not a monster. She stayed silent for a moment. When she finally replied, her voice was softer. No one has ever said that to me. Suddenly, the detector outside beeped loudly. They're close. A soldier yelled. Evan felt panic rise. They detected your armor energy. Ree-Lin cursed under her breath. I am not ready. The mark is glowing too bright. If they find me like this, I will lose control, or they will kill me. Evan thought for a moment. Hide behind the table. I'll stall them. No. She grabbed his arm from behind her hand, warm, strong, and trembling. They will kill you if you lie. He turned slightly, just enough to see her eyes shining with worry. I don't care. I won't hand you over. Her mouth opened slightly, almost like she didn't know what to say. Why would a human help me? A mercenary? An outcast? Because no one deserves to be hunted while injured, he said simply. And because you trusted me enough to remove your armor here. Ri-Lin blinked. A soft purple blush spread across her cheeks again. Before she could respond, fists pounded on the door. Open up. Human residents detected near crash site. Evan whispered quickly. Get under the table. Stay low. Don't make a sound. She hesitated, then nodded and crawled beneath the metal table, pulling a heavy sheet over herself. Evan stepped toward the door, heart pounding. Another bang. Open up. Evan opened it slightly, pretending to be sleepy. What's going on? A soldier shoved forward. We're looking for a fugitive alien. Dangerous. She crashed nearby. Evan forced himself to stay calm. I didn't see anyone. The soldier lifted a scanner. The device beeped loudly, pointing straight toward the workshop. Evan felt sweat drip down his neck. The soldier narrowed his eyes. There is someone else here. Under the table. Ri-Lin's mark started glowing. Her control was slipping. Evan's next words could save them. Or doom them both. The soldier's scanner kept beeping, louder and louder, pointing straight at Evan's workshop floor. Evan's heart pounded like a drum inside his chest. He tried to look calm, but his hands were shaking slightly behind the door. There is someone in here, the soldier said coldly. Evan forced a laugh. My workshop is full of metal tools. Maybe that's what your scanner picked up. The soldier didn't laugh. He pushed the door wider and stepped inside, scanning every corner of the workshop. His boots made loud clacks on the wooden floor. 2 more soldiers followed him, holding rifles ready. Under the old metal table, Ri-Lin lay completely still. Sweat rolled down her forehead. Her glowing mark pulsed brighter with every second. She tried to calm herself, but the fear of being caught, half-dressed, injured, and unarmed made her heart beat too fast. The soldier lifted the scanner. Again. Beep, beep. The device pointed directly toward Ri-Lin's hiding spot. The leader frowned. Something is under that table. Evan stepped forward quickly. Yeah, that's just my scrap metal pile. Old parts, broken machines, you know. Junk. Move it. The soldier ordered. Evan froze. If he lifted that metal sheet, even an inch, they would see her silver eyes, her glowing mark, her exposed skin. They would shoot her instantly. Or worse, she would lose control and transform. Evan swallowed hard. It's just junk. Do you really have to? The soldier shoved him aside. Stand back. Ri-Lin's eyes widened. Her breath shook. The mark on her shoulder flared bright red beneath the metal sheet. She could feel her heartbeat hitting the mark like a hammer. No, not now. Not like this. Her fingers dug into the floor to stop herself from shifting into her war beast form. But the pressure was too strong. If she transformed, she would kill the soldiers. And maybe Evan too. Evan acted fast. He stepped between the table and the soldier. Wait, he said. That table is holding up an unstable engine part. If you move it, it could explode. The soldier paused. Explode? Evan nodded fast. Yes, a plasma coil. Damaged one. Very sensitive. One of the younger soldiers looked worried. Sir, should we back off? This area might be unsafe. But the leader was stubborn. He glared at Evan. You're lying. He grabbed the edge of the metal sheet. Ri-Lin braced herself. Her mark flared. She bit her lip to stop a growl from escaping. Her claws almost extended. Just one more second. and she would lose control. Evan needed something big. Something fast. So he did the only stupid thing he could think of. He kicked over a tray of metal tools loudly right behind the soldier. Clang, crash, bang. Every soldier jumped back, aiming their weapons wildly. Evan pretended to be terrified. I told you. The coil is unstable. It reacts to vibration. The leader cursed. Damn it. Everyone, outside. This structure might blow. The soldiers backed away quickly, dragging the scanner with them. One of them shouted, "We'll sweep the next sector. Move." The leader ordered, and within seconds, all 3 soldiers jogged out of the workshop. The moment the last one left, Evan slammed the door shut and locked it. He leaned against it, breathing hard. Under the table, Ree-Lin let out a long, shaking breath of relief. Her glowing mark dimmed slowly. Evan lifted the metal sheet. She lay there, half covered with wires and cloth, her cheeks burning purple with shame and stress. "You okay?" he whispered. Ree-Lin nodded weakly. "I almost lost control. If they had seen me, my mark would have awakened fully." Evan knelt beside her. "You didn't, you held on." She stared at him with unreadable silver eyes. "You risked your life. Again." He shrugged. "I couldn't let them find you." Her eyes softened. "Why does a human care so much about a stranger?" "You're not a stranger anymore," he said. "You're in my workshop. You're someone I want to protect." Ree-Lin looked away, her cheeks turning deep purple. "Human. You speak dangerous words." Suddenly the scanner outside beeped again. The soldiers were returning. Ree-Lin's eyes widened. "No, they're coming back. They will search deeper this time." Evan helped her up gently. She winced. Her armor was gone, and she wore only thin underskin clothing. Her exposed glowing mark pulsed against the air. "We must leave," she said. "Now." Evan grabbed a small toolkit. "Where do we go?" Ree-Lin pointed toward the forest. "There is a cave system nearby, but I cannot run in this weak form." Evan stepped beside her and offered his arm. "Then lean on me. We'll get there together." She hesitated, then placed her hand on his shoulder. Her touch was warm, trembling, and uncertain. They moved toward the back door. Behind them, the soldiers shouted, "Sector 3. Search again." Ree-Lin whispered, "Human. Thank you. If they catch us now, you will die." Evan smiled softly. "Then let's make sure they don't." Together, they disappeared into the dark forest. The forest was silent as Evan and Ree-Lin pushed deeper between the trees. Moonlight slipped through the branches, shining on her pale purple skin and the faint red glow of her mark. She walked slowly, leaning on Evan's shoulder. Every few steps, her legs shook. Evan could feel her weight getting heavier. She was stronger than any human, but right now her body was failing. The mark on her shoulder pulsed like a heartbeat, brighter and brighter. "How much farther?" Evan asked, keeping his voice low. Ree-Lin pointed weakly toward the dark hills. "There. The cave is hidden behind those rocks." Her voice was thin, breathless. Evan looked behind them. Flashlights moved through the trees. Soldiers were spreading out, scanning every inch of the forest. They had dogs, now small, robotic sniffers that could detect energy. "We need to hurry," he whispered. Ree-Lin nodded, but her legs failed again. She fell to her knees. Evan caught her quickly. "Careful." She grabbed his arm tightly, much tighter than before. Her claws started to grow at the tips of her fingers. Not good. Her silver eyes flashed with faint golden light. The mark on her skin brightened into sharp, fiery lines. "Ree-Lin, what's happening?" Evan asked, voice shaking. She gritted her teeth. "The mark. It reacts to fear. To danger. To pain. I am trying to hold it back, but..." She sucked in a breath. "If it wakes, you must run." Evan shook his head. "No, I'm not leaving you." You must. She growled in a deeper voice, not exactly hers anymore. I can smell the soldiers. My instincts are rising. If I transform, I will not know friend from enemy. Her hands trembled violently. The forest air around her seemed to vibrate. Evan looked into her eyes. Then look at me. Stay with me. She squeezed her eyes shut. Human. I cannot. Raylin, he said firmly. Look at me slowly. She did. Her eyes flickered between silver and gold. The colors twisted like fire inside them. She looked afraid of herself. Evan reached up and gently placed his hand on her cheek. To his surprise, she leaned into his touch. Breathe, he whispered. Her breathing slowed a little. You're not a beast, he said softly. You're Raylin. And you're fighting. That means you're still in control. Her shaking eased for a moment. The glowing lines dimmed slightly. Human, she whispered, voice trembling. Why do you keep helping me? I am dangerous. I told you many times. Because I don't see danger, Evan said. I see someone who's scared and trying her best. Her eyes widened. A deep blush spread across her cheeks. You talk like no one else from your kind, and you act like no one else from yours, he replied with a small smile. For a brief moment, the forest felt calm, but then a sharp, mechanical howl echoed. The robotic sniffers had found their trail. Raylin jerked in fear, and the mark exploded with bright red light. She gasped, clutching her arm. Her claws extended fully. Her teeth sharpened. No. No, no, no. She cried, fighting the mark with everything she had. The sound of boots grew louder. The soldiers were coming. Evan knelt in front of her, holding her face gently but firmly. Raylin, look at me again. She tried. Her eyes flicked toward him, shaking wildly. Stay with me, he said. You're not alone. Her breathing slowed. The light dimmed, but only for a second. A soldier shouted nearby, We've got heat signatures. Move in. Raylin's mark flared again, brighter than ever. She growled a low, beast-like sound that sent a chill down Evan's spine. She pushed away from him and pressed her back to a tree. I cannot hold it much longer. Move away from me. I'm not leaving you, Evan said firmly. Yes, you must. She cried. Her voice broke. If I transform, I will tear everything near me. Her body arched slightly as the energy surged through her. The red lines crawled across her chest, her back, her neck. The beast was coming, but Evan stepped closer. Raylin, he said gently, I'm here. I'm not scared of you. A tear rolled down her cheek. You should be, she whispered. I am dangerous. Evan shook his head. No, you're strong. You're hurting. You're trying to stay in control. That means you're not dangerous. The glow softened. Her claws retracted slightly. She swallowed hard. Human, your voice. It calms the mark. I don't understand why. Evan didn't understand either, but he knew one thing. She needed him. She leaned heavily against him, almost collapsing. Her arms wrapped around his shoulders as she breathed through the pain. Help me reach the cave, she whispered. If we get inside, the mark will weaken. Evan lifted her carefully. Then let's go. Behind them, soldiers shouted orders as the robotic sniffers picked up speed. Raylin forced her legs to move. Clinging to Evan, her body was hot, glowing. Trembling, but still fighting. Still resisting the beast. And together, step by slow step, they moved toward the hidden cave, while danger closed in behind them. Evan and Raylin reached the base of the rocky hill just as the robotic sniffers howled again behind them. Their metal claws scratched against the forest floor, moving quickly like hungry wolves. The soldiers followed close behind, their flashlights slicing through the night. Evan looked at Raylin. Sweat covered her forehead. The glow from her mark lit the shadows around her like a faint red flame. Her breathing was uneven, and her legs trembled with every step. "We're almost there," she whispered, pointing weakly. "Behind that stone. There is an entrance." Evan pushed aside branches and leaves until he found a narrow opening between two large rocks. Darkness filled the space inside. "Can you walk?" he asked. Raylin tried to step forward, but her knees buckled. She fell against Evan's chest. He caught her gently, holding her steady. "I cannot," she breathed. "My body is weak. The mark. It is angry." Evan lifted her arm around his neck. "Then I'll help you in." She hesitated, looking ashamed. "Human, you carry too much." "I am heavy." "Not heavier than trouble," Evan said with a small smile. A faint blush warmed her cheeks. Even injured, even scared, she still had the strength to feel embarrassed. Together they moved into the narrow passage. The cave air was cool and still, smelling of stone and old earth. The deeper they went, the quieter the world became. The sounds of soldiers faded. Finally, they reached a wider chamber lit by glowing blue crystals growing from the walls. The light reflected in Raylin's silver eyes. "This place," Evan whispered. "It's beautiful." "It is an old refuge," Raylin said tiredly. "My people used it long ago." The crystals weakened the war beast mark. She leaned against the wall and closed her eyes. "Here, I can breathe." Evan watched the glow on her shoulders slowly dim. The red lines faded a little, softening their violent color, but the danger was not over. She slid down to sit on a flat rock, breathing hard. Her underskin clothing was torn, and bruises covered her arms. The parts where the armor had fused to her skin were swollen and painful. Evan kneeled next to her. "We need to clean your wounds." Raylin lowered her head, her cheeks turning purple again. "Human, do not make me say it again. I am not fully dressed. I removed most of my armor." He nodded softly. "I'll only touch what I need to. I'm not here to make you uncomfortable." Her eyes softened. "You speak with kindness that is not common in your species. And you speak like you've only met the worst of us," he said. She gave a small, sad smile. "Maybe I have." Evan opened his toolkit and pulled out bandages and a small cleaning spray. He lifted her arm gently. She winced. "Be careful. The mark reacts to pain." "I'll be gentle," he promised as he cleaned the burn around the glowing symbol. Raylin squeezed her eyes shut. "This mark. It was not given by choice. It was forced on me by my own clan." "Why?" Evan whispered. "Because I was born with power they feared," she said quietly. "The seal was meant to control me, to shame me, to remind everyone I could turn into a monster." "You're not a monster," Evan said. Her eyes opened slowly, shocked by the certainty in his voice. "You don't even know me," she whispered. "I know enough," he replied. "You're brave. You're strong. You're fighting something inside you that most people couldn't handle." Raylin looked away, nervous. "Human, when you speak like this, the mark comes more." He paused. "Maybe it hears what you can't." She blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" "Maybe it knows you're not alone anymore." A tear formed in her eye, but she wiped it away quickly, embarrassed. "I do not cry," she said softly. "You're allowed to," he replied. She looked down. Her hand trembled as she placed it gently over his. "Evan, thank you. No one has touched my mark without fear." Before he could respond, a distant sound echoed through the cave. Evan stiffened. "Did you hear that?" Raylin grabbed his arm, eyes sharp. "The soldiers. They found the entrance." A flash of red light pulsed from her mark, fear mixing with instinct. "No," she whispered. "Not now. I cannot transform in here. The cave will collapse." Evan stood and helped her up. Then we fight smart, not strong. Raylin nodded, breathing deeply. The blue crystals flickered around them like tiny stars. Human, she whispered. Stay close to me. I will not lose you. Footsteps echoed at the entrance. They were trapped. But together, the air inside the glowing cave grew tight as footsteps echoed from the entrance. Soldiers were getting closer, slow, careful steps that sent dust falling from the ceiling. Raylin pressed her back against a crystal wall, her breathing shallow. The red lines of her mark brightened again, warning her that danger was too near. Evan stepped in front of her without thinking, trying to shield her with his own body. It was a foolish move. He was only human, but he did it anyway. Raylin grabbed his arm. Do not stand in front of me. Human bodies break too easily. And alien mercenaries shouldn't fight while half-conscious. Evan whispered back. Her cheeks turned purple with embarrassment even now. I am not half-conscious. She tried to stand tall but swayed instantly. Evan caught her again. Her skin was hot. Too hot. The mark on her back glowed through her thin undersuit like burning lines. The crystals are helping, she said, but not enough. The final piece of armor still binds the mark. It is choking me. Evan frowned. Final piece? Her hand moved slowly to her upper back, right under her neck. There is a plate hidden beneath this layer. I could not remove it outside. It is fused too deep, and you need it off? Evan asked. She nodded weakly. If I remove it, the mark will show its full shape. I don't want you to see it, but I cannot fight or control myself with it on. Evan nodded once. Then let's remove it. Her eyes widened. Human? No. It is a sacred part. Only my kin, only those closest can ever see my full mark. I'm not your kin, Evan said softly. But I'm the only one here who can help you. She looked down at the floor, her silver eyes shaking. If you see it, you may never look at me the same. Let me decide that, he said quietly. For a long moment, she did not move. Then, slowly, silently, she turned her back to him and lowered the thin layer of her underclothing just enough to expose the armor piece. It was small, just a palm-sized plate, but it glowed dangerously. Like a live ember. Evan touched it gently. Raylin gasped and pressed her hand to the wall. Slow, slow. It reacts to touch. Evan nodded and worked carefully. The plate was fused into flesh, wires wrapped into muscle. Sparks flickered around his fingers. The warmth of her skin mixed with the unstable energy from the armor. Almost, he whispered. Raylin's voice trembled. Human, please. Be gentle. I am, he promised. I won't hurt you. He slid a tool under the edge of the plate. It snapped free. Raylin gasped loudly, her entire body shuddering as the plate hit the floor. She fell to her knees, her hands gripping the stone, and then the mark awakened. Red light exploded across her back, sharp lines forming symbols, spirals, and shapes that looked like the wings of fire. The glow filled the whole cave chamber. Evan stepped back, stunned. Raylin waited for him to run. She waited for fear to appear on his face. Her own body shook as she tried to calm the power rising inside her. Human, she whispered, trembling. Now you know what I am. Evan walked toward her. Not away. She lifted her head slowly, unsure, her eyes reflecting the red glow. Why do you come closer? He placed a hand gently on her glowing back, right on the mark. Raylin gasped. The mark softened instantly, the wild light calming like a wave sinking into the sand. What are you doing? She whispered. Helping you, Evan said. Just breathe. Her eyes filled with shock and disbelief. Humans are not supposed to calm the mark. It should have burned your hand. It didn't, he said simply. Maybe I'm different. The mark dimmed into a softer red, almost peaceful. Raylin swallowed hard. Evan, your touch. It stabilizes me. I do not understand. I don't need to understand it, he said softly. I just need to keep you safe. A tear slid down her cheek before she could stop it. She wiped it away quickly, embarrassed. Human. Do not look at me like that. Like what? Like I am worth saving. Evan smiled gently. You are. Before she could respond, violent shouts echoed from the cave entrance. Thermal signatures inside. Move in. The soldiers were here. Ree-Lin stood up slowly, her body steady now, her eyes glowing controlled. Sharp, powerful dot, she picked up a piece of crystal like a blade. Evan, stay behind me. I can fight now. Are you sure? He asked. Yes, she said firmly. Because you are here. The glowing mark on her back pulsed once strong but calm. And when the soldiers entered the cave, Ree-Lin stepped forward with controlled fury, no longer a beast, but a warrior. The cave entrance shook as soldiers stormed inside, shouting orders, flashlights cutting through the shadows. But this time, Ree-Lin did not hide. She did not tremble. She did not fear her own power. The mark on her back glowed a steady, calm red, not wild, not dangerous. Evan stood behind her, trusting her completely. A soldier raised his rifle. Target identified. She's the marked one. Ree-Lin stepped forward. Yes, I am. The soldier fired, but she moved faster than the bullet, sidestepping with fluid, controlled motion. The glowing crystal blade in her hand flashed like lightning. She struck the rifle, breaking it cleanly in half. The soldier stumbled back. Terrified, another soldier ran forward, shouting, "She's unstable. Shoot to stop her." Ree-Lin's eyes flashed, but not with rage, with focus. She grabbed Evan's hand. "Stay behind me, no matter what." "I trust you," Evan said simply. Her chest rose and fell with a deep, steady breath. She stepped into the center of the cave as 3 soldiers charged. But this time, she was not the out-of-control beast they feared. She fought cleanly, efficiently, with discipline. One soldier swung a baton. She spun around him, tapped the back of his neck with her crystal blade flat, and knocked him out cold. She didn't kill. She didn't lose control. She didn't let the mark take over. The next soldier threw a stun grenade. Ree-Lin caught it mid-air and crushed it with one hand, sparks falling like fireflies. The last soldier tried to tackle her, but she stepped aside and gently pushed him into the wall, knocking the wind out of him. Within seconds, all 3 were down, alive but unable to stand. Evan stared, amazed. You controlled everything," he whispered. Ree-Lin breathed hard but steady. "Because you calmed the mark. Because you believed in me." There. Moment lasted only a breath before a deeper voice echoed through the cave. Step away from the human. A large figure entered. Captain Mirek, the soldier commander, towering, armored, and armed with a heavy energy cannon. His face was twisted with anger. "You," he growled at Ree-Lin. "You were supposed to obey the seal. Instead, you let a human break your mind." Evan stepped forward immediately. "She's not dangerous." Mirek aimed the cannon at him. "Silence, human." Ree-Lin's expression changed instantly. She moved between Evan and the cannon, her body tense. "If you hurt him, Captain, I will not hold back." Mirek laughed cruelly. "You control yourself? Impossible. The seal was placed on you for a reason." Ree-Lin lowered her head, then slowly lifted it with burning, steady eyes. "The reason was fear," she said. "Fear of what I could become if someone treated me like a person instead of a weapon." Mirek fired. A blast of bright energy filled the cave, but Ree-Lin didn't flinch. She stepped forward, holding up her glowing hand. The mark on her back pulsed once, and the energy blast split around her like water around a stone. Evan watched, jaw-dropping. "You stopped it." Ree-Lin raised her crystal blade. Mirek tried to fire again, but she was already at his side. She sliced the cannon in half, sending sparks across the cave floor. With her other hand, she pressed 2 fingers to his armor, releasing a controlled surge of energy. The giant captain collapsed. Raylin stood still for a moment, breathing deeply. Then she turned toward Evan, her silver eyes soft again. "It is over," she whispered. Evan walked toward her slowly, checking her arms, shoulders, face. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head. "No, because you helped me control the mark." She looked down at her own hands, almost confused. "Human, Evan. No one has ever helped me fight my curse. No one has ever stayed close when I was weak." Evan smiled softly. "Maybe you were never cursed. Maybe you only needed someone to believe in you." Her cheeks warmed with a deep purple blush. "You speak dangerous words again." Evan laughed gently. "Dangerous for who?" "For me," she whispered, "because I do not want to lose you. Ever." Silence filled the cave, soft, warm silence. Raylin stepped closer. Her voice was low, shy, almost shaking. "Human, Evan. I cannot repay what you have done, but I can make one promise." She lifted her chin with new confidence. "I will protect you, always, for as long as I breathe." Evan felt something warm behind his ribs. "And I'll stand with you. Always." For the first time, Raylin let herself smile, small, shy, and real. As they left the cave together, the forest wind blew gently through the trees. Her mark glowed softly, no longer wild, no longer chained, but peaceful. Raylin walked beside Evan, close enough that their shoulders brushed. After a moment, she whispered, "Next time I remove my outfit, human, maybe you can peek a little." Evan tripped on a stone. Raylin laughed, the first time she had ever laughed in front of anyone. And together, with danger behind them and a future unknown ahead, they walked into the night. Stronger. Safer. Together.